And welcome into this episode of Depths Podcast. I'm your host, Atramentum_X, variety streamer and YouTuber. I am honored to bring you tonight a topic that is very near and dear to me. As you guys know, I'm a scriptwriter. That's how I sort of like cut my teeth on the VTubing scene, and I've decided to invite these lovely folks with me here today to talk about the art of scriptwriting. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lady Mystique. Say hi, Mystique.
Hi, everyone.
Mystique, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Lady Mystique. I am the hooting monster that Atra puts up with because I have a background in sexology way back in the day. You can find me on Twitch and on Fansly, soon to be on YouTube as well, at ladymystique.tv. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, as always, Mystique. So we're going to have our panel introduce themselves, and we're going to go from directly next to me. So first off, we have Mayuri Rose.
You guys are so professional. I am not prepared for this.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you want the people to
Hello.
know?
I'm Mayuri Rose. I am the leader of the Blue Rose Guild. I am a very casual, comfy variety streamer, and also an indie book editor with who has worked on several published works.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yes. Mayuri is a very humble individual. Has actually helped me with my website, has a good eye for design, believe it or not, in addition to all of her talents.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
You guys are too nice.
Yeah. Next up is the handsome devil demon himself, Mr. Googs. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Mr. Googs. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Googs VA and on Twitch and Fansly as Mr. Goog and Mr. Googs. It kind of fluctuates everywhere. I should probably solidify a title. But yeah, so things I do is I work in the entertainment industry primarily, but on the side I've been having a lot of fun writing. I kind of found my passion for writing back in college when I started playwriting, and then from there it just kind of evolved into writing erotic scripts, erotic scenarios, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's me.
So I was not aware that Googs did writing actually until very recently, where I spotted one of his scripts and read it for YouTube, and it did incredibly well. So staring at Googs like, hey, material, please.
Yeah, I'm working on more.
People really liked it. Like, I got the most comments, I think. Basically, people are like, ooh, yeah, this is like hot. This is really intimate, etc., etc. Yeah. Making his return to the podcast from way back on episode 5, believe it or not, is Vaughn. Say hello, Vaughn.
Hey, thanks for having me back at you. But my name is Vaughn IXI. I'm a postal pigeon. I'm tired. I wear many hats. I'm an event manager, postal pigeon, photographer, and I just recently started getting more serious into writing. I've been having a lot of fun with that, and you can find me on pretty much any and all platforms as Vaughn IXI.
Welcome back, Vaughn. It's a pleasure to have you as always. You've same with Goose. Like, I knew you were a scriptwriter. Some of the spicy stuff I've been seeing filtering out from you recently, that I've like had the pleasure of reading myself, and they're all really, really good.
Thank you. I'm actually working on a new one, and behind the cut.
Hey, nice. And last but not least, we have Tiffy. Tiffy needs very little introduction to most people who follow the script challenge, #script challenge on Twitter. But Tiffy, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Oh my god, I'm so bad at introductions. I'm so awkward. Oh, as being said, I am Tiffy. Also go by T by most people. I've been streaming for about 3 years. I did script writing. I think it started last year, if I remember correctly, or 2 years ago. With a script challenge tag that was going around viral, and then I hopped in the train, did it with some friends, and then started doing my own just for fun for a little bit. Most of my scripts are written mostly kind of short, but also like very SFW and more comfy and like relaxing in a way. to comfort people. That's mostly what my scripts are written as far as so far. I don't know, English is hard. But other than that, I mostly focus and work on art streams, which I mostly work on graphic design. I do a bunch of other stuff. You may have seen my work around mostly on VGen or on Twitter. Probably mostly event graphics or modern reveals and any other work on the side. I am a full-time university student, and studying psychology, minoring in entrepreneur, focus on like content stuff and art, something like that.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for those of you who don't know, Tifa and I have worked together on a project recently. It was a script also, so make sure you check that out. Tifa also helped me with the setup of my website. So in many ways, everyone here I respect very much as a creator. And thank all of you for your on the podcast today. So to get us started off, I had a couple of questions prepared. And chat, if you have questions at all for our panel, feel free to drop them in. There's a redeem. You can ask the question, will be highlighted. But if you don't use the redeem, that's fine too. I'll pick it out and I'll respond to you in chat, and we'll try to get to it as we go along. The first question I had, this is a question that I actually quite liked quite a bit because I'm an impulsive writer. I'm very impulsive. Like I'll be taking a shower and like we'll get an idea and then like we'll have to get out of the shower, write that down, and like sort of just pound out a script like an hour later. So the question is, are you an impulsive writer? Does an idea come to you that you need to put to paper immediately, or are you more deliberative?
Before we actually go on, do you want to put Vaughn behind Googs? Because I think he's getting lost a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's let Mr. Goog shine. Handsome double.
I'm just trying to look at whatever you got in your hand, man.
Right now it's your chin.
I was gonna say, I thought Vaughn was
maybe
scratching Mr. Goog's
he's
chin.
caressing your chin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like coochie coochie goo.
Don't. That's where I'm ticklish.
Don't tickle me, I'll come.
Oh yeah, that actually does look better. Okay.
See, this is the other reason Atra has me on. I'm very opinionated and kind of a perfectionist. So if something's like a little weird, I will pick up on it and tell him.
Mhm.
Sorry, back to the question.
Impulsive writers, yeah. So speaking for myself personally, like a lot of my work is short form, like less than 300 words. So I will be sitting at work sometimes and get an idea. I'm like, werewolf hunts you down in the forest, and like we'll pound that out. And I recognize that's not everyone's writing style, but I do find it's a kind of a fun way to write. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I'm very much so sporadic when I'm writing. So I got the idea, and I was just like, all right, phone, notepad, open up. We're putting this down now.
So do you like take a note of what the idea is and then write the script later from the idea, or do you write the script then and there, like all in one?
Like striking while the pen is hot, yeah.
Yeah, I usually go for the full script then and there. But if I just absolutely can, I just get down as much as I can.
Yeah, I find that I'm like a mixture of the two. Because it'll be like sometimes something will inspire me and I'll start writing something. It's usually something that's more experimental. Like I randomly decide that I want to write lyrics to a song, which I'm not very talented at all. But suddenly I'll just be like, I'm going to do that. But then other times it'll be like I've had a novel that I've been working on for a while. And it'll be like, today I randomly am inspired to start working on that. But most of the time I find my writing is a bit more deliberate in the sense of like with commissions and stuff, someone will come to me and they will say, hey, I want a NSFW script. And I go, okay, so what's your parameters? Like, what are you looking for? And they're like, oh, I'm interested in like a cucking script, or like I'm interested in a yandere script. And I go, okay. And then from there, I just kind of like cook after that. It's just kind of, that's the inspiration. I kind of develop the story from there. I found that D&D honestly has like developed me as a writer more so than anything because of the improvisational aspect of it. of just somebody throws something at you quick, make a story or like orienting around that.
Of course. Well, there are so many books and movies that are just people's D&D campaigns.
Yes.
I mean, look at the Magician series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
There was also that one with what's his name? The guy who family.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vin Diesel
The
did
Chronicles of Riddick.
There was the Chronicles of Riddick, but then there was also another film that was like he was a witch hunter or something like that, and that was literally just like the campaign of him and his friends, and he was like, "This to be a movie," and so he got it produced.
That is wild. I did not know that.
Yeah, Chronicles of Riddick, and I can't remember what the film's name is either, but they were both like D&D things.
Yeah. So like I found that developed a lot of the inspiration aspect of it, because it's not so much like a lot of the time when money's on the table, inspiration can wait. You've got to write something.
Yeah. You've got to make a product.
Yeah, I guess over the years I've just kind of developed this like instantaneous, like, this is the inspiration, go.
I'm very much a streak writer. Like once I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll, and when I'm struggling, I'm struggling. And I find this the most when I'm writing SFW scripts, if being honest. Go ahead, TV.
I think as for me, it kind of comes out randomly, whatever, like sometimes be in moments like whatever I'm doing or whatever like I'm looking at, depending like usually I would casually like scroll through Twitter looking at art, right? And I would see something that catches my eye, and I kind of would like write that one word down or some sentence. Let's say like, oh, pillow talk, right? Maybe I'm thinking about like late night talks or something like that, right? And then like if I start writing like a title or like writing like one word, ideas will slowly like come into my mind, and I'll start like writing something eventually. Like once I like read that one title, I try to like follow a theme throughout it.
That's a great point, actually. I have gotten so many ideas just scrolling Twitter, especially from those like DDLG like accounts that post like wraps my hand around your neck and like caresses your tummy. I'm like, oh yeah, I can work with that.
That's actually a good. Oh, please go.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like that kind of stuff happened for me mainly because this is a little personal, but it would be like, you know, you're sexting with someone, and then that's kind of how I got into this environment. Was somebody was like, "You write real nice when we're sexting." They were like, stuff, and I was like, "Not really," and they were like, "You should, because you're good at this." And I was okay.
It's something that's not really talked about because we're VTubers. We have a lot of like interactions, quote unquote, like on the internet, and to some degree, writing is kind of an important skill for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely agree, because I think a lot of, especially your first interactions with people, unless it's through like some sort of collaboration or something like that, most of it is through like a written form. So either like Discord messages or, you know, replying to each other's tweets. But like being able to write in a way that kind of both shows you and your, I guess, id, for lack of a better word, like yourself.
Well, it's kind of like marketing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would definitely say I don't send a lot of cold like call DMs these days, but definitely like you bet I'm checking like punctuation and spelling.
Well, we just invite them on the depths.
But even for inviting people in the depths, like if I don't know them and I'm reaching out to them for the first time, I'm like, okay, 2 paragraphs, like sentences structure, like capitalization, don't look like a bot, basically.
That's so funny because I am the complete opposite. My DMs are horrendous to read.
Really?
Unless it's like I'm trying to be like intimate or something like that. Then suddenly it's like, ooh, wow.
Oh yeah, there's nothing less sexy than bad grammar.
Yeah. But I find that's the funny thing about like my writing in general is one of the things of I never thought that I would be like a writer in any kind of sense, because growing up I was terrible at it. I actually have a writing disability, so like my handwriting still looks like a child's. But then as I got older, I went into like, performing arts and stuff like that. And I took a playwriting class and they were like, hey, this kind of kicks, dude. And I was like, really? Somebody likes my writing? What?
Academia is so often the enemy of creativity.
Yeah.
They stifle so many people.
Facts.
Yeah, because I would always feel so
Yep.
frustrated when they would be like, okay, here, give me a 5-paragraph essay or give me your research paper. And I was like, I don't care about this. Let me write about like a dragon dicking somebody down, yeah, so I totally agree with you there that schools, I feel like oftentimes do kind of suffocate that creativity. And I was very lucky to, in my college, be in an environment that was very creative to kind of explore stuff and figure out that I actually did really like writing. And it wasn't that I hated it, it was just that I hated academics.
That makes a lot of sense to me, yeah.
I mean, even in the creative courses that you see in universities, I feel like a lot of the time it's less about developing and helping people hone their creative side and more about them teaching what is the quote unquote standard trend or what is marketable. And you see that in book publishing right now too, where traditional publishing is not held to as high of a standard as it was before because they care less about quality of work and more about what is marketable to a mass majority.
That's so true.
Hitting, like they don't teach you how to hone, like you say, hone your craft well. They teach you how to hit metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many industries now are just so numbers based. Like you can see the numbers are driving a lot of like the creative like aspects of things from like TV shows, movies, books.
Let's
You can even
pump out
see
another Isekai.
Exactly. Yeah, even like in anime. Yeah. You can definitely see it in like literature though, because you can see like I run a book club, for example, about like Asian American literature. So much of the lit that comes out is exactly the same, just cookie cutter immigrant story, blah blah blah. Like basically there's no room for people to take risks when it comes to like their mass market writing, which is like I used to be a journalist. That's why I really like being able to write now for myself, for YouTube, for like script writing for VTubers. There's so much creativity. I did a foot fetish one the other day. Like not something I would write, but somebody asked me to do it and I'm like, yeah, let me, sure. It took some rewrites, but
I actually I have a question about like your inspirations, because you were talking about scrolling Twitter and like looking at the captions of
right.
various posts. Do you get your inspiration mainly from other words or from images? Like seeing a picture and being like, "Oh, I can write a scenario for that. I can put that in here."
I would say words, and I think the reason for that is because I came into script writing from reading a lot of eroge. So eroge, that for those who don't know, it's like visual novels. It's like basically PowerPoint, like slideshows. You're just reading, and there's like illustrations too.
Erotic PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's an erotic PowerPoint.
There's an idea.
And there are occasionally times I think back into like a specific scenario, and like the art is only doing half the work. Most of the work is in the writing, right? It's always good writing, but like that is where I get the most inspiration because I see some words on like out there. I'm like, okay, I can put meat around that. I don't know if it's the same for you guys. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of take inspiration. I think I would say it's something I kind of pride myself in, being able to take inspiration from basically anything, whether it's like a sentence I find on Twitter, or if I'm scrolling through like the artist side of Twitter, just seeing a facial expression or a pose and being able to come up with a scenario around that. But I think something that's super, super important when it comes to writing is kind of being deliberate and intentional about trying to find inspiration from places outside of the writing industry. So like even like real life interactions, or I guess it still kind of is connected to the writing industry, but like watching TV shows and like movies. And I think it was Miyazaki who said it, for people who are familiar with the Ghibli films, that the reason a lot of animes are so cookie cutter, so boring, is because the industry is filled with otakus. They don't go outside the box. They only really focus on staying within the industry, and so everything becomes very
Oh.
dry.
It's like self-referencing themselves over and over and over, like an AI almost.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the imagery in my mind that came from that is kind of like being on an airplane with the circulated air and everybody
Ooh,
afterwards getting off and being sick.
Yeah.
You've basically infected your own industry by having it circulate the same type of people and the same ideas.
I
But that,
really like that analogy.
but well, yeah, it just kind
You
of
should
came
write a
to me.
script about it.
Oh my god! But no, I think that's very true, and I think that definitely happens, and you'll see it happen. And I think it's a pernicious issue in all things in life. Like having differing perspectives on just about anything is important. So I think that was really good quote from Miyazaki there.
Oh,
Thank you for
absolutely. I got so much inspiration from Baldur's Gate, of all things. I think I might have gotten like 3 ideas off of that, just like short little scripts. Yeah.
Even I'm still loud. Okay, hang on. I'll lower my volume. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think that comes from the fact that it's like a really high-end piece of art that has like specifically adult themes in it and has like sex as a part of the game, but it's not the focus of the game. Too often you see too many games where it's like the focus is just on like we're trying to get our player off, so we're gonna just throw sex at them inanely, and there's not enough build up to that to really tickle that part of the brain that I think revolves into the intimacy of it. So like I think yes.
No, that you finish.
Oh,
I'm here all the time. They've only got like this chance to listen to you. You talk.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, I think that aspect of it is what you find the inspiration in, is that you're not just seeing the same kind of, as we were talking about, cycled stuff. Sorry about that. Cycled things just going through, and everybody repeating the same. Like now we've got our anal scene, we've got our blowjob scene. You know, it's like no, you've built the relationship, the anticipation and everything building up to this moment, and now you really get this like climactic sexual moment.
Yeah.
There is definitely some truth to that, because I hate to keep referring to the eroge again, but like that's the reason why I started reading those, because the well-written ones have the sexual aspect too, as sort of a sprinkling on the relationship. It adds a level to the relationship that isn't there when they exclude it. And like I found that like my biggest issue with anime is like it never seems to grow out of like, that sort of 16, 17-year-old mentality until like, we get into that sort of like the realm of the adult stuff. And if you write it well, then yeah, go ahead, Mystique.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I want to have a nerd moment, but
Sure. No, go
you
ahead.
guys do your thing.
Do it.
I'm sorry. I can't. I'm trying. Building on what Mr. Goog said actually about Baldur's Gate, there is a game that tried to be a porn game that wasn't just a porn game, called Subverse by Studio. Oh, I've forgotten the name of it. Studio something. And it the animations are incredible, and they've got like loads of gameplay elements, but because sex was the focus, they only had like one kind of sex basically, which was male on female. Everything is very male gazy. There's no male pleasure sounds or like zoomed out things where you can see both partners allowed, so that it was just like self-insert specifically for the male audience.
Got it.
Or people who like monster fucking. Whereas in Baldur's Gate, I think part of its charm is that there was scope for basically any kind of sex, whether it was polyamorous. The player could be male, female, they, them, whatever the pronouns were. They could have relationships with whoever and however many people that they wanted. They could express themselves however they wanted. And I know that it's a very different kind of game and a very much more expensive game to write. But you can very much see the difference in what Googs was saying about a game where there is sex and sexual expression versus just trying to get the player off.
We'll take some questions from chat. This question's from Andy Bunbun, former guest on the podcast. Bunbun asks, how do you shift into more script writing coming from more of a story writing type of writer? So how do you go from writing stories to sort of writing scripts for ASMR and VA work when you have that background? I would say, from my perspective, coming from a journalism background and someone who's never wrote fiction prior to starting this, read a lot and watch a lot. You just need to see what people are doing, what's hot out there, and what people respond to and really like. And when you see what works, if you have the talent for writing, it's just a matter of, I don't want to say mimicry, but it is taking inspiration and sort of taking those elements and putting your own spin on it, if that makes sense. What do you guys think?
Kind of like cooking in that way.
Oh, exactly.
It's almost a process of not theft, but of copying and integrating it into your own repertoire.
Yeah, it's a learning process. If I'm learning how to cook a dish, I will have my phone out and be following the recipe to the T the first time. But there's a lot of stuff I don't need to do that anymore, and I can sort of improvise and sort of put my own thing on it.
There was a comedian who was talking about how when you start out with stand-up comedy, for example, you don't have your own voice. You have someone else's voice. You take time to develop your own voice because you haven't absorbed enough. You haven't absorbed enough of the culture around it to have your own voice.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you develop it from that sort of mimicry process.
Yeah. I think also one of the things, converting from a story writing to a script writing kind of aspect, because it is far more obviously dialogue heavy, is kind of thinking, what I like to think about is those moments of conversation that I guess are more, I wouldn't say dragged out, but all that to say, essentially, it's I think like in a movie, essentially. So even when I'm writing stories, I'm not super descriptive when talking about the area that's surrounding me. It's more focused on the people and their interactions with one another. And the other aspect of it is when it comes to the ASMR scripts and stuff like that, you kind of have to fully flesh out your people's dialogue, and then to a certain extent you just remove the other person. Because you have to have, for both individuals, they have to have their reactions to make it a dynamic script. So I could just write a script that is my partner is just listening to me deliver some loving sensual monologue to them, but it's far more interesting for the viewer to listen to somebody dealing with some sort of pushback, or just any kind of conflict going on. It allows for there to be more of a dynamic in the script in general.
Oh, definitely. You don't want to sound like you're making the the Gettysburg Address when you're writing a script. It's definitely, I think, something that people run into when they start reading for the first time also. Vaughn, yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the question. I was usually when the way I've been writing the scripts is I take the story and I just kind of as Mr. Goog said, remove the secondary person and just allow them to pitch in, to be if you're talking to them, a caring boyfriend checks in on you. Hey, how's your day? Wait for a response, so that way they can lean into it, just like give some like comforting ambiance. I don't know, it's just it just comes pretty easy for me on that one. So I don't know, I just write the story and just kind of edit from there.
Cadence, I think, is very difficult to master both as a writer and also like as a VA. I'd say too many people just want to go too fast. Yeah, Mayuri.
Sorry, there was something stuck in my throat. I think there is less of a transition between story writing and script writing than a lot of people think. Also coming from a journalism background, even in journalism, we write articles and frame them as stories. You find what is the most important and organize the work so that people know what is the most important and everything else is just kind of supplemental. So when we're talking about story writing and going into script writing, as someone who I don't want to like say specializes, but like originates from that more narrative, plot heavy side of writing, you kind of have to think of the script as a mini story or as a scene. I definitely write my scripts different than most people, and I actually write down the setting, actions, and both sides of the conversation, because I found that that actually makes for a more realistic, more authentic interaction between the listener and the speaker.
That's a good point also. I've experimented with doing like two-person scripts, like scripts that can be read separately, but like can be also read together, which was an interesting exercise, I think.
Yeah, we did a couple of those.
Right. Because I often, that's actually when if I'm talking to something that I have a struggle with is imagining the other side sometimes. I think that might come from just as like Goog said earlier, just like ERP and sexting, if I'm being honest. Because like I just had partners that just we're just really quiet. They're just taking it in. I'm like, okay, blah 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 blah. Next, blah 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 blah. Next, blah blah next.
I think like a pitfall a lot of people also, for lack of a better word, fall into, is the difficulty in basically writing like one-sided dialogue, in that, you know, a lot of people tend to go to repeating what they think the listener is going to say. So instead of just like answering in a more dynamic way to hint at what the listener had said, they're like, oh, you're asking what I'm doing? Oh, and then they're just kind of like repeating back the question.
The least sexist thing you could do.
Yeah, you're basically dictating the audience responses to themselves.
Like that's how you win a debate. That's not how you win that's not how you do an audio. Yeah, Vaughn?
It's kind of like a guest comes up to you and asks, oh, what do you think about that? I'll just look at them. What do you think about that?
Oh. What am I doing to you? What am I doing to you?
Why don't you tell me what you want me to do to you?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's ERP with facts and logic.
It's too risky to make a push. Okay, listen, they gotta tell me what they want.
Calculated, ready.
Oh my God, I was ERPing with someone, and we had both established that we were like down, right? But he wouldn't make the first move, and I was like, okay, but like, you know, I can't do all the heavy lifting here. You tell me some things, please. I'm dying here.
Yeah, I think this actually. Go ahead, TV.
Oh no, I was sorry. I've been quiet because I was like trying to like. I was like, I got distracted because my mom called. But what question was asked, by the way? That's what I want to keep track on.
It was we're talking about making the transition or lack of transition from story writer to script writer. Like if you're from a background that's predominantly about writing stories, how do you sort of bridge the gap into writing scripts? Like what's your approach? And then do you see the two things as dissimilar at all?
I never really thought about that, to be honest, but like I used to write stories. I find it really cringe too because it's like back in middle school or high school.
Me and
But
Team
I
Rocket fan fiction.
fan fiction on Wattpad. But I think I usually visualize, I guess, like visualize like as like real time when like I was writing the scripts, like writing my scripts at the time. I think I try to relate it to a little bit of like otomes, usually of storylines, and think of it as like a POV, more of a thing. That's why I would always think about like point of view and think about like how I could how you can make it feel a little bit realistic, like reality, and kind of like interpret in a way like where you can actually feel the moment and make sure like you feel like you're like exactly at that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to like describe like things in like a little detail that makes you feel like you're there at that moment.
Absolutely.
So that's very interesting. So you pick out details in the environment you've created in your head to try and paint the viewer or the listener into that environment.
Yeah. So like let's say like the script that I wrote with Atra recently, there were one of the lines that's like that shows like the visuals of like, oh, like you can tell like they're at this cherry blossom park and that they're hanging out, and that you can probably feel the environment of like really calm, and it's just like only you two.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Funny you should mention cringe actually, because we have a question in chat from Faith Fables. The question is, when starting to write scripts, did you ever experience cringe, and how did you get over it?
Soon we get over it.
Or do we get over it?
Yeah, kill the part of you that cringes.
I agree.
I think just do it once and then just don't think about it again.
Disassociate.
like when I used to upload it when we did like when the script challenge like trended, right? And then I had it upload on YouTube, it's not there anymore. But like hearing my own voice was really cringy, and then doing the script at the same time was also cringy. I just didn't want to hear it, and I was like, when I did, was it the voice tweets on Twitter, right? I did one take, and then I didn't bother looking at it.
One take only.
I used to be like that actually. One take only. I wouldn't even
Mm.
edit my stuff because I just want to hear it back.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually a skill as a reader of scripts. Because I'm on the other side. I don't write, but I come from a radio family, and you know, having performed on radio, reading scripts, reading copy, you've got to like. Oh, I've forgotten where I was going with this. I'm so sorry. I'm sick and my brain is not working.
No, I appreciate
I
you.
had a really good point.
I think when it comes to like quote unquote cringe, like yeah, there is some stuff that kind of makes me feel weird to write, but I also like unironically like writing, and I find it to be a fun thought exercise. And I think that if you're taking comms, yes, you can't always pick what you write about, but if you're not having fun writing something, I think maybe just put it down for a sec and walk away, rather than forcing yourself to put out something that you don't feel happy with. To be honest.
I think it's exposure therapy for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
You write something more cringe than you've ever written before. you just go in and you go, I'm gonna make the cringiest thing ever. And then I go into my little studio and I record it. And then I post it on my Discord so everyone can hear it. And then I go, all right, can't go worse than that.
I'm seeing
I
oohs in chat.
remember my point. There's a skill, you have to develop the skill of listening to yourself to be able to edit your stuff. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to post out first take stuff that's not going to be of the quality that you want it to be.
True.
Also, things are less cringy to the listener usually than the artist, whether it's writing or reading. So as long as you're putting your whole ass into your performance, you people will enjoy it, whether it's laughing at it or like coming to it or whatever the case is. Those are the
Feedback
two options.
is so important. Tell your scriptwriters you like their stuff. It's going to help them quite a bit.
I
Absolutely.
rewrote one script like 13 times and I trashed 6 of them. I was like, I was trying to like brace myself. I was like, sure, I could write an SFW scripts all day. That's fine, easy. I would just sit there and my face was just blood red. I'm like,
Oh no.
Yandere scripts, I got you. Spicy scripts, not safe for work.
That's really sweet though.
Wait,
You want me to write the
I have a
word?
question for Atra.
You want me to write rude words like bum?
No,
No.
not
Heavens.
penis.
Atra, do you ever cringe in trying to write an SFW script?
Yes and no.
I remember hearing like you were struggling to write a safe for work script.
I feel like my arsenal is bigger if I'm allowed to write an SFW when it comes to conveying intimacy. I'm a person who does not have a very strong physical love language. Like, I'm very much Asian dad coded, so I'm going to give you a bowl of cut fruit. I'm not necessarily going to be heavy petting and like snuggling and cuddling and
Well, I hope your
nuzzling.
dad wouldn't be doing that.
So when it comes to write that kind of thing, I'm like, okay, and now you're cuddling in bed. Okay, now what? Cuddling some more, maybe nuzzling your neck. Okay, cuddling some more. That's kind of like where I get stuck writing SFW, because people want SFW from me too for comms and such, and I'm just like, I'll try, but understand that my turnarounds will be longer than NSFW, honestly. POV, your Asian dad tells you to eat your fruit.
And you fucking die.
And you
That's
With a
fucking
frying
die.
pan sort of. Yeah, this
piece of
current
advice.
meta is so fucking weird. I'm
It's a
sorry.
weird meta.
No. I was gonna say my only piece of advice for this is don't kill the part of you that is cringe. Kill the part that cringes.
Ooh, you should put that on a
Exactly.
t-shirt.
I think also to add to that, it is just a certain aspect of be confident in yourself and like just put stuff out there. Because like the worst thing you can do is have something and go, this is terrible, and put it away. Like if it is terrible, for sure, you probably don't want to like sell it to somebody.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I just feel like there is a certain aspect of like, if you have people who enjoy your writing, just continue to write. My first foray into like writing was when I was in high school. A girl one night texted me and said, "Tell me a story." So I started telling her a story over text. And then I kept telling her that same story. And it continued on for months and months and months. And at some point she was like, "Oh yeah, I have all of them saved," and I printed them out. And I was like, "What?"
Ooh.
And then she got a bunch of other people. So I had like 20 people who were like waiting for me to text them out the story every night. So it's just this thing of like,
And then you got married. That's so...
No.
I know, but like,
don't put me back in that box.
And they were roommates.
But that's the kind of ending you get to that kind of story if you're writing it, because goddamn, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that is the thing. Like, kill the cringe, or the part of you that cringe, like, or cringes. God,
Yes.
Because
words are hard.
Yeah, but kill the part of you that cringes, because like stepping out and experiencing the feeling of people enjoying your writing is far more rewarding than boxing yourself in and saying, "No, nobody's gonna like this."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like you have to remember that no one starts out being a master. Like if you enjoy this, anything worth doing is worth doing terribly.
Yes. And perfect is the enemy of good.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Don't try and be perfect.
One day will be worth money. I swear.
Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it.
And people love writers in this community. Like, if you have done like a day of like VA work, you just know how hard it is to find scripts sometimes. So even like your best first try, guarantee that people are going to like it, because they're so grateful that people are willing to write and like put that out there for them.
Mm. We're getting so many T-shirt slogans from this episode.
Great. Lots of good wisdom.
And also, like, whatever you write, even if you don't like it, someone out there will like it and will record it. You know, even if you think it's cringe, someone will take it and amplify the cringe by a bazillion percent, and it'll be hilarious and people will love it.
I think about that stupid Catgirl script I wrote that got read by like massive VTubers. I'm like, I have other stuff. I've got other stuff. Can you read those stuff instead, please?
No, we want the meow meow.
No, exactly. That's exactly what happened. Like, no, meow meow. Yeah, if you're worried about cringe, this is a community that loves cringe. Let's put it. Let's just be real. But on the topic, by the way, chat, if you have any questions for our panel, feel free to put them in chat. But on the topic of script fills, for those of you who have had your scripts filled, what are some qualities you've liked in people's script fills of your writing? So think back to people who have recorded your scripts. What did you like about what they did with your work?
I had one that did pretty well a little bit ago, and I don't know, it was just everybody's inflections were different on the part of, it's like powerful, angry, and it was like some people would be like dark and sinister, and some people would be like, no! It's like, oh god. It's like, oh, okay, I'm digging it. Different kind of villains here.
Mm-hmm.
I love that creative aspect of people like putting their own spin on it. Because these never really dictate like how you should read it, but some people go dummy, they go a little subbier. It's a little evil, a little heroic. It's all really nice to see people put their own like touches on these sort of things.
Do you like it when people expand on your scripts as well? Like you write a 3-minute script and they spin it out into like a 10-20 minute audio.
I generally don't encourage it, but if they come to me and ask me to do so, then I will generally say yes, as long as we discuss it first. And
I didn't ask first, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. The end result has often been good, yes, because it gives them sort of the framework to do their sort of RP. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to kind of bounce off of what Atra was saying there, I think there is a certain aspect of it feels risky as a writer letting people do that because your name will be associated with it. And if their expansion of it doesn't really reflect your style, your skill, or anything like that.
Or your values, I suppose.
Or yeah, exactly. So like if it expands out past what you would have put out there yourself, then it becomes this thing of like, well, now my name has been slightly besmirched by that. I don't think anybody would necessarily do that purposefully, but you know, there is that risk. So I think that's why a lot of writers tend to discourage people from like going off script because it's like, listen, I wrote these things. This is my name. Just read the words that I wrote. But most of the time, I find that if people like alter a couple words, because it's just like, I know that sometimes when I've read scripts, the phrasing that somebody's had, I've been like, God, I can't.
It doesn't feel natural.
Right.
Yeah, I can't act my way through this phrasing. Or like you're memorizing a script or something like that, and it's just like your brain has altered it to be more in your vernacular. So like I understand that kind of alterations and stuff like that. And I do think if someone were to do something to expand on a script, yeah, if there was a communication like Atra was saying, I think I would be more accepting of it. But I'd probably want to workshop it with them just because it's like I said, it's a certain aspect of like, well, this is my baby. Please. Please don't just run amok with it.
I was talking more about expanding it with like, you know, because you guys write erotic scripts, right? So like with moans or, you know, plap sounds.
That's 100% fine.
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's like
put your plap in.
Yeah. Like I was doing a commission recently and like I literally just put in there beat for sex sound. like, you know, this is just like, this is your ad lib moment. You get to say, oh fuck, oh shit, oh I'm gonna come, like all this stuff. That's on you. You've got that like, talent. I know you got it in you.
Parentheses, moaning noises, parentheses, sucking noises, or as Ali says, buzz buzz. Yeah, my recent script just said buzz buzz.
Nice.
or
I
grapefruit
can't
technique.
relate to any of those.
Give burr.
Well, in a sense, you possibly can't even because imagine SFW script with sound effects, such as like
With sound effects, yeah, like
yeah,
with kisses and stuff, and yeah.
of course.
But
Yeah, like
everything else,
mom and dad are
no.
getting divorced, and you're the
And
kid
then you fucking
crayoning.
die.
Yeah, and then you're doing crayons at the table. Like there's a
Mhm.
beat in there for the sound of crayons and dishes being cleaned because the like fight has died down. You know, like there
Mm.
in any
Mm.
script there is moments for SFX to really heighten the moment. Because I think even in less intimate scripts, there are these moments of beats, and I think a lot of the time when I write in my script beat, there is an expectation of there being some sort of background sound to heighten the level of the experience of the script, you know, because it's all theatrics. A script needs a reader, and a reader needs an environment, and the environment needs to have sound and life to it to
Absolutely.
really bring everything together and make a really nice art piece.
I actually almost never put any sound effect beats in my scripts. I write down like the different environment. I write down like the setting and the different actions that I imagine the characters in the script to be taking. But I actually just leave it up to the VA whether they want to add those beats into the audio itself, because some, in my opinion at least, people put different importance on different things, and some people would rather focus on the listener just listening to the sound of their voice rather than and they think that sound effects might be more distracting rather than something more immersive. So I kind of usually leave it up to whoever's filling my scripts.
Definitely a
Sure.
stylistic sort of
But do you
so
like it
it's up
when
to the
people
VA.
do that? When they create that, like a soundscape for your scripts?
I wouldn't say I necessarily have a preference one way or another. I definitely I have liked a lot of people who have added sound effects, but I have also liked it when people have just done it just with the voice, because sometimes when it is just the voice, it does feel more intimate.
It might depend on the scenario too. Like
Oh
if
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like BF comforts you in like the rainy night, like I think the only thing people want to hear is maybe the rain sound effect, and that's it. Like especially if the function is to help the reader like go to sleep or something, you don't want to hear like dishes clacking and
Frying pans.
chair like scraping on the floor, things like that, you know?
Heavy metal pipe hitting ground.
The rain sound effect that you mentioned, I've written something like that has rain effects, and like a lot of people that recorded with my scripts I wrote has rain effects, and it has like a nice like nostalgia feeling to it. And everyone that's been doing it has done script pretty well and pretty good, and then like it kind of like actually like bring out the script to life, like as how I imagine and how I wanted people to read it as, within that feeling and within like that theme.
It's a very heavily searched term on YouTube, actually, like comfort and rain and BF and GF.
I think Atra knows my opinion, especially after he did one of my last scripts. I think was that with Lady Mystic as well?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes, the knife play one.
Oh yeah.
I really loved the additions you added in there. I was like, yes, chills. So I love sounds. Add sounds. Have fun with
I
it.
had such a himbo moment on that one because I was like literally in call with Mystique. I'm like, yeah, I'm reading the script from Vaughn. I need some female moans though. And I open a window and just type female moans into Chrome, and Mystique's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, he was like, I wonder if I can find some female moan sound effects anywhere. I was like, dude.
I'm right here. Why won't you look at me during anymore?
Why won't you love me?
It's now filed away in a folder in case I ever need it.
That was very funny, though. Also, he was like, okay, do it, moan, go. And after like a minute of me making the sounds, he was like, hang on, I should start recording this.
Ah!
Listen, all the brain cells weren't
You
firing
dirty
yet.
dog, you.
It's like, you asshole. Things besties do.
Great script, by the way. Really did like it.
Yeah, it was amazing. Holy
I never
shit.
saw myself doing something like knife play, but then adding the sound
Mm.
effects of the knives and stuff, I'm like, okay, it's kind of hot. I like this.
Mm. I think sometimes scripts can help you access like new and potentially darker parts of yourselves that are very interesting to discover.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm personally like a very horror-based creator. Like
Yes.
even though I'm like, oh, comfy, I'm like nice, relaxing colors, and I like heavy mental health care. I'm just like darkness.
Well, I mean, so many DOMs are like that, right?
Fair enough.
Heavy, dark stuff, but also comfy, cozy. Here's your chocolate. Do you need a hot water bottle, baby? Kind of.
Well, it's not the impression I clocked from you at first, Vaughn, when we first had you on. Then, like, as I started to see the writing come out, I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm.
So I've done a couple of them now. I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from with this, you know.
Do you not see the suspenders on Vaughn?
You didn't have those last time.
I'm just saying,
I think
suspenders.
you wore a cloak last time.
Immediate.
Yeah, that's true. You did. Also, I love that it looks like Googs is having like the most animated conversations in the pauses. just soundlessly.
My little mouth, it's too sensitive.
Yeah, it's a gain setting. My mouth used to that too. Now I just use like the microphone like tracking. Yeah. So I would say for the question, just to circle back to the question, like what qualities people have done in the reads of my scripts. SFX, impeccable, beautiful. Changing up your voice, like going unhinged with it, like going from like, you know, normal person to yandere, or like have a sudden drop in like their tone has always been like stuck out to me because it showcases your range, especially in a very small like audio, like a 2-minute audio. Basically, like you can basically show that versatility there. That really pops to me. Like, if I'm being honest, like I love that, showing your range in these audios.
And that's something that you've been practicing recently too, because writing scripts is what got you into reading scripts.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah, I've been practicing with that.
What?
we have
Writing scripts. Writing scripts got you into reading scripts. I don't know what you mean by that.
We have a question here from They Call Me Nagi. Do you like when you add more SFX directions, like water splash here or sound of head pat there? Like every 5-line people are more or less likely to do script fills on them. I try to avoid it because I think, as previously mentioned, like too heavily scripting the intangibles, like, you know, water drop, moaning, breathing, whatever it is, can get restrictive and distracting to the reader. That's what I find personally as myself reading these things too. Because sometimes I just blow past them, like, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep going because it doesn't sound natural for me. Like, you know, insert the sound effect here.
Yeah, unless you're writing a production, it's often not helpful.
Right. I only do it if I find that it's critical to like setting the mood that I'm going in, the direction I'm going in. Otherwise, I kind of leave it up to the reader.
You also kind of have to remember that a lot of these VAs are also the people who are editing their own audios.
Yeah.
A lot of
not.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, not every single person's an audio engineer. So like, if you put too many things in there, they're gonna get probably scared off more than anything. When I mentioned the SFX earlier, I was thinking specifically for my like commissioned scripts and stuff like that. I like to add that kind of stuff in for them because I know that they're like doing more of a go, I guess, in a sense. When I'm writing scripts for like public use and everything like that, I wouldn't really put any SFX in there. If they wanted to add it, that'd be great and cool. But outside of doing commission stuff, I don't really too often put in any SFX.
I think the one where I put a lot of SFX or directions in was like a spit play one. Because then I was like indicating to the comm person like, okay, spit here or drool here or like yeah. And I'm sure he will work like it into other parts of it too, but more specifically, like here's where you should pause and like make eye contact and just do the into the thing. That was a fun experience actually, because I had no experience like writing that whatsoever. So it was kind of interesting to get into that sort of kink. We have a question here from Althemia, BT.
Hang on, what was Vaughn gonna say?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying I usually like if I add anything, it's like small author notes and it's like a little bit smaller than the normal text, so that way they can choose to read it or they can skip over it if I have something particular in mind.
Definitely, I think the consensus is not to heavily script like those intangibles and just to like let it go.
Sorry, carry on.
No, that was actually good that you reminded me. This question's from Althemia. How do you guys as scriptwriters feel about the trend where the BF or GF dies, where someone gets their shit peed on or someone gets beating someone with a brick? Can I just say I don't like it? I get it why people are doing it for the funny haha. I get it. It does like it gets good likes. But if you yourself are not a VA and you're making fun of people who do VA work, it kind of seems shitty to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That
being said, I'm not gonna be like, oh fuck all these people doing this. Like they're awful. They're terrible people. But I just find that the tendency for people to make fun of other people's content tends to go overboard in VTubing sometimes.
100%. Personally, I was thinking about doing one, but I think it was funny because I was making fun of my own origin story.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, as long as you're going into it with like the right intention, I think it can be funny. I haven't listened to a lot of them, but I'm just like reading the titles and I'm like, huh?
Also, why are you like? Why is it so fun to die or to kill? It's like those posts where people. This is like a personal like rant maybe, but those people who like, hi, I'm saying hi, say it back, and they're pointing a gun at the viewer.
Okay.
Like, why is that? I don't enjoy that. Why is that fun? And like, I get it clinically why it's fun or why it's funny, but yeah, I don't enjoy the like implied gratuitous violence and threat. But that's me. Doesn't mean people can't do it. It's me.
I definitely have heard from people who like are like VAs who like get sent these and are getting tired of it. Like someone I spoke to the other day is like, yeah, I got sent like 8 of these, and I think people are like making fun of me now because like I make this content and they're just sending me this over and over. And I've gotten like people, and like I was fine with it. Like don't get me wrong, anyone who's done this, but like if you send me your joke script for me to read, like you're gonna get like a thumbs up from me. Like I'm really gonna spend time giving you feedback. Like
I'm gonna be
like, hey, you're a writer. Can I pick your brain? And like, it's one of these.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, just go like scream into a mic and you'll get the intended effect. Like, I don't need to give you tips on this one.
So I'm gonna be honest with you, hot take. I think they're a little bit silly. I think they're kind of funny sometimes. It depends on the person and the amount of like work that they put into it. Because there have been ones where I've heard it where it's just like you're in the car with your boyfriend and you get into a car crash, and there's just like it's the over the topness of what they get into. So it's like a car crash, but it's like the most horrendous car crash you've ever heard. So to me, there's some comedy value in that.
It's hyperbolic humor.
Yeah, and it's absurdism, right? Because there was a play called I can't remember the name of the play, but essentially the whole entire play was an absurdist play about violence, and it was just like they would look out the window and watch people get shot, and they'd be like, oh, there goes another one, guy's shooting out the window again, and they just kind of like took it in stride. And so if you take it from an absurdist aspect, some of these are funny, and then some of them just feel like people following a trend. I think the first couple people that did it, or probably the first person that did it, it was comedic.
Of course.
And right. And I feel like maybe the next couple people that grabbed it, it was comedy. And then after that, kind of like Atra was saying, there's probably a small or a certain contingency of people being like, haha, we're making fun of people who do scripts because I find that content to be cringe personally, and therefore I should make fun of them. And then there's probably another contingency just going like, I see number go up on Twitter, now I do. So, you know, it's a silly trend. So I feel like there is, you take from it what you feel, but it'll be gone in probably another week.
Yeah, that's my thinking too. Like, it's gonna run its course, of course. And then the folks that do BFE, GFE audios are just gonna continue racking up numbers on YouTube, like unbothered. So here's a question from Anarctic Prime. How do you handle receiving seer scripts that have content you're not comfortable delving into? This is the interesting question because I've actually stopped reading scripts halfway because I have a habit of sometimes just performing a good one when I see it. But especially when you exit the VTuber sphere and go into like Reddit or some other places where scripts exist, such as Gone Wild Audio, you get into some very heavy, dark topics and things that I'm personally not like comfortable performing, like CNC, degradation, certain words. Like, is there a market for it? Absolutely. Do people want to hear this? Absolutely. Is it something that I personally want to associate with my voice and like put out there? Absolutely not. So if I see it, like, and this is why I like to write for myself, because when you write for yourself, you can sort of write to your comfort level. And it's in my TOS, actually. I will not write CNC, I will not write race play, and I will not write like very heavily violent stuff. So that's
and
kind of
it's
how
perfectly fine to have those kinks. It's just I think there's also an element of and this is both as a reader and a writer, there is an element of personal protection where if you engage with those kind of kinks, you are opening yourself up to attacks from very sanctimonious people who are like, oh, well, you know, if you're catering to this kind of kink, you must want to have it in real life, or, you know,
people who can't separate fiction from reality or roleplay from reality and assume your writing reflects your personal like morals or kinks.
Yeah, so
I also think kind of what you sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
Okay. I think bouncing off of what you were saying about your own personal security as well, it's much like any interaction, and I find that people talk about this much more when they're talking about like sex, about talking about your boundaries. But in any conversation about anything, talking about your boundaries is important. Because one of the things is if you push your boundaries, something that you're not comfortable with when you're writing, not only are you inviting people to possibly judge you on that writing, like Mystique was saying, but also with kink fandoms, when they find somebody who will do their type of material, it tends to travel fairly quickly within that like fandom. So people will start to search you out more to do more of that content. So if you weren't comfortable with it to begin with, you're probably going to hear it many more times.
And to bounce back off that again, some of those people who are decrying those things are probably in those circles and enjoy that kind of thing, and just don't want to be seen to enjoy that kind of thing.
Like, for an example, like if I were to write a foot fetish script, people would probably at some point come to me down the line and be like, hey, so you did a foot fetish script? Can I get a foot fetish script? And then if I was like, ew, gross, feet, I would be plunged into a nightmare. And even if I said no to them, somebody else would be like, hey, you did this one time. Would you do it again? I'd be like, ah!
Yeah.
You know?
And then you're in a nightmare of feet.
if you hate feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
So I'm hearing
discussing
you shouldn't dip your
boundaries.
toe in that sort of in those waters.
Yeah, it's just one of those things of like
Lol.
really the I didn't catch the pun at first. So, but I think it's just important to speak your boundaries on anything. So, personally though, to answer the question, I don't have too many. It's all very circumstantial, like there are certain things I would not feel comfortable writing, but I haven't been faced with them as of yet. There are things that I do feel uncomfortable in the sense of, can I write it?
Mm,
Because I think
yes.
there's two different things here as a writer. You have the experience of, this is something that I wouldn't want to read, much less write.
Mm.
And then there's the experience of, this is something I have no knowledge of. Can I write it? And those
So
are two different
it's
types
the
of-
discomfort of like the disgust versus, or the disgust response versus the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, for instance, I have a commission right now for like 3 cuck scripts where it's
Mm,
going to be like an episodic thing.
mhm.
And I'm like, I don't really have much experience personally with cucking, nor with the like fetish itself. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, I think I can kind of wrap my mind around it to the amount that I understand it
Mhm.
and like probably pump out a decent script. But like if it were something further out, like something that would be a fetish that I may never have even heard of, the confidence level would go down, and therefore my uncomfortableness with the writing would probably go through the roof.
Yeah, I've got NTR on my list too, actually. Definitely wanting to try that out. Again, no experience with it, but knowing it's quite a hot topic, like when it comes to like role play and script writing. But I'd open the question up to the rest of the panel as well. Has there ever been a request or something that someone has come to you for to write that you felt uncomfortable about it, and how did you handle that? Essentially, I haven't yet had this issue because I update my TOS and pretty flexible in that regard. But communication is pretty key here, I'd say. What do you guys think?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Has anyone ever like asked you to write something that you were uncomfortable with because either your lack of experience or because you were personally uncomfortable with the topic?
Oh, okay. No. I've had gotten some DMs where people are asking if I did script commissions. Because what I've gotten so far where people like really like the way I write because I write more of like the comfy side,
Mm-hmm.
and it fits them well is what they told me. But I've never gotten anything that makes me uncomfortable to write about. I think it's just like really hard to come up with something.
True, they're probably not coming to you for that sort of thing in the first place, I'm guessing, because of
No.
yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No.
Yeah. But have you
I
ever
have-
felt that like go ahead, Mary,
I
actually.
have once,
Yes.
and it was only when I first started both doing just like VA work and started doing commissions. So this was like little baby me not really knowing how commissions like this worked, and I didn't have like a very like solid grasp of like my own personal what makes me comfortable, what makes me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I decided like most topics and stuff I'm like not I don't get uncomfortable super easily, but I found that actually like writing it out, one, I didn't know a ton about the topic. And then actually acting it out because it was for a personal audio, so I did the writing and the VA work for it. Actually acting it out, it like I wasn't super comfortable doing it, and like I still finished the commission. And then after that, it was just like I think I closed my commissions after that, and I haven't opened them since.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
Mm.
still pretty fresh myself, and whether it's getting commissions, I've got a couple so far. One I'm still kind of like unsure about, but I've been sending them back and forth drafts and been taking my time on it. And then anytime I get uncomfortable, I'd be like, hey, how do you feel about this? And just kind of like, just communication, as Goog said. But also from being in the like convention side and like event management side, I've got pretty good grasp on my boundaries. So I felt like I'd be able to handle it. And if I wasn't able to handle something, I'd be able to be like, hey, I know somebody that could do it. Here, have you met Goog Zatra?
Yeah, bring us all your degenerates. We'll take care of them.
Bring us you're tired, you're sick, you're desperately horny.
Your foot lovers.
I think it's also a good idea to actually reflect what you might be comfortable with theoretically, but then what you're comfortable with actually doing.
Absolutely. I have that same struggle every time I write SFW, if I'm being honest. It's like, I think I suck at this.
For the NSFW writers, have you ever discovered like a new kink or something you were interested in exploring through doing writing?
Definitely more dommy stuff. Very, very into writing dommy stuff compared to when I started.
I'm very I keep everything mostly on the inside unless I write it out. So like, I would obviously never go around hurting people, but the knife play, that one was fun. I really have a big interest in shibari. So that might be a topic of one, maybe. But no, it's like I haven't explored a ton, but I know a lot of things I'd like to write about, and I'm gonna do a lot of heavy research to make sure that I'm using like proper terms and all that. But I don't know that I would find anything new at the time. But there's life's still young. Who knows?
Yeah.
Knife play.
So like
definitely
nobody's.
stood out.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Knife play was definitely something unique that I hadn't seen before, like from among like scripts from VTubers. So I just had to jump on it because I was like, impeccable. Love it. Love the creativity.
So you've never had like a request or a com that's something that you hadn't really experimented with before, but when you started thinking about it, you were like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I'm gonna find out more about this.
I just don't think there's been anything that I've been like, I don't already know about this. and I'm interested in it. Like I haven't had so many things that I've written about that would be totally different. And I feel like I'm decently well enough educated on like fetishes, though granted, it wasn't until a couple years ago when somebody introduced me to some hentai site and they were like, it's got all the tags. And I was like, what are these tags?
There's some out there ones.
I was like, what is ugly bastard? And
God, yes.
It was self-explanatory, but nonetheless, like, there's not been too many things that I've been like, oh, this piques my interest. Granted, there's also, it's a large sack of things I am interested in. So, the couple things that are outliers, I already know about, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that. So I don't think there's been anything that would be like my epiphany or enlightened moment.
I suppose with the proliferation of pornography and stuff just everywhere, there's so much more opportunity to discover new kinks than just writing.
But that does,
But
that does inspire me to kind of like you were saying, you haven't seen VTubers like write about knife play. It does kind of inspire me to write more in different fetishes that I feel like are underrepresented.
I'm already writing ugly bastard script in my head right now.
Son of a bitch! You son of a bitch! Don't take my idea.
Damn it!
Put some vents in the airplane.
No. Listen.
It's
an F for M. It's an F for M. It's the other side of that script.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Right?
That's crazy. I never would have expected that, Atra.
Give me a couple days.
He's cooking.
I'm cooking. Okay. We'll get off the NSFW for a minute there. I do have another question about that, but we'll come back to it later, actually, just so we can sort of bring it back around. for those who do VA work, which is some of you, but not all of you, but like this is more generally when looking at other people's scripts, what makes those scripts pop out to you? What do you like to see in other people's scripts? Like I just mentioned, for example, seeing Vaughn write about knife play and a unique kink and that just neuron activation, like, oh, I would like to try that and put some sound effects in and really make a performance out of it, for example. So that's my personal thing. What about you guys? What do you see in other writers that you think like that makes you just go, I like that?
For me, it's being able to turn a phrase without sounding like you're being unnecessarily florid with your words.
Mhm.
Because so many people try to be more fancy than their understanding level of the words that they're using, and they start using words that they don't fully know the meaning of, and it just comes out sounding like gobbledygook.
Rested boobly.
Yes. That's I suppose that's the other one. That's the other side. Someone was using the word coherent instead of conversation. And there's a guy who's like a reply guy in my tweets who says the word suppose all the time. And I think that he thinks it means like hoping. Because he's like, I suppose you'll feel better soon, not I hope you feel better soon.
I mean, I suppose you will feel better soon. Maybe,
I suppose
maybe...
that, guys, I suppose eventually you shall heal, supposedly. Supposedly,
yeah,
that's how the body works.
Someone who is writing with an understanding that's congruent with the words that they're using, and can like turn a phrase prettily here and there.
Yeah, I hate to use the term dumb it down, but you definitely need to write in a way that's accessible, simple, and to the point, I think, when you're like doing like script writing. Because getting too elaborate, like you're gonna lock yourself out from a lot of people, like especially if you're on the amateur side. Like if you're writing for TV, by all means. If you're writing for like Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory, use all the big words you want, right? But like, you know, if you're writing for like amateur VAs, keep it punchy, keep it simple, keep it natural. Like how do people talk to each other? Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, because I think there is sometimes that you can use a bit more, as you were saying, Mystique, flowery language, or but like Atro is saying, there's just so few instances in our lives that we talk like that, unless it's like a monologue. Like if we have an audience of people listening to us, suddenly we're like, now's when I pull out all of my SAT words. But until that moment, most of the time we're like, sup, dude.
You know what's really good for that? Villain scripts and like medieval fantasy scripts.
Yes.
Oh yeah, people who love monologuing.
Or like Asterian roleplay scripts. Those three categories.
Also, chat. Atros staked Astarion the second he met him and didn't resurrect him.
God damn!
Don't tell him that.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Astarion fan either, but I didn't kill him.
You streamed it. It's a matter of public record.
Damn.
Listen, he should have asked consent before biting me. I'm just saying.
That is fair.
Right?
That is fair.
Yeah.
But to pull us back to the question, what I would look for probably in scripts that I'm looking at is like dynamics. I really want there to be at least 1 to maybe 2 moments of action, in a sense. Action meaning like I'm changing my action towards the person I'm speaking to. So like in acting, your actions would be like with your words, you are trying to stab the person or you are trying to comfort the person. So like a change in beat. Them. Well, right. Well, maybe. Depends on the script, right? Like it could be that you're really angry at them, and then suddenly, oh my god, they're actually really upset, and I went too far, so now I need to comfort them. But like that kind of dynamic in a script, to me, I find is really far more interesting for acting. Because as a VA, you kind of get to show off a little bit more. You're like, look at my range. But yeah, I just think that there needs to be some points of like I can do some different things other than just like deep, sultry, sexy voice, you know?
Hmm.
Give me some unhinged. Come on.
Exactly. Where's my
Mhm.
yandere that cut off both my legs because I tried to run?
Hmm.
Where's Schmeagol with the ring?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh
Some people
God,
really rise to the challenge. Like it's amazing sometimes when you put the yandere
Mhm.
stuff out there. I'd be looking at them a little bit different afterwards. I'm like, I didn't know you had that in you. I'm scared now.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna stay 10 paces away.
Yeah,
Just-
you
just
just
add a-
sit
add
over
a stabby
there, and I'll
range.
be over here,
Yeah.
and we'll all have a nice time.
That's okay. I'll always find you.
See? Too funny.
Yeah, sometimes though, like even if you just you find a phrase that like tickles your brain just right, you don't even need to necessarily write a script around it. Like, I think like Atra, you've done things where you've just recorded like a sentence or two, just because the phrases were so
Of course, it's
perfect.
the same scripts it's the same like posts where I get inspiration from. Like, yeah, my good girl. Like, I'll make you a mother.
Mhm.
That sort of thing.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
like one of the lines that always jumps out to me is if a poem called If by Rudyard Kipling, and one of the verses starts with, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the world and all that's in it. Like that first little bit just stuck in my brain, perhaps because I needed to hear it at the time. And
Mm.
yeah, with scripts, like if you have a phrase that you think is perfect, like write it down, because it's going to catch someone's attention.
I agree.
I do have a couple of those.
Hmm.
I've written, I mean, my scripts are not long, but I've written entire scripts just out of one line, basically.
Yeah.
Like silence. The entire, like, that thing was like someone like once said to me, like, yeah, what if you made a script out of like, watch your tone, baby, don't make a sound? I'm like, bet.
I
Did an entire
enjoyed
Discord
recording that
daddy
one.
like RP out of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun to record.
It was a good
think
one. It's one of the other ones.
Something
Yeah,
I
the
think
one
would
that
be
I have
pretty-
laying around is if I make it filthy enough, not even bacteria will want to live on it.
That's amazing.
I've never figured out where I'm gonna put it, but I was like, that's good. That's
I will
something.
I will message you later. I've got ideas.
Yeah. Like keep a notebook of your like phrases that pop into your head like that, because goddamn,
Exactly.
you'll find something for them eventually.
That's actually on my list of questions. It's how do you note down your script ideas when you have them?
Notes
I have
app on my phone.
I have a Discord like group chat that's only myself in it. I just like throw it in there.
I have
Like writing out ideas.
Well,
Absolutely.
how do you keep track of your ideas?
Yeah.
Do you have a
Track.
notebook?
I just put them in Google Doc.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like I just put it on Google Doc, and then like let's say like if I'm out somewhere and there's like a theme or a word or something that's right in front of me that I see, I can just quickly like write it down like as like notes on a Google Doc on my phone.
I use unread emails, like draft emails.
Nice. I used
God
to
forbid I
have,
ever send those.
you know those college rule like notebooks?
Hmm.
I used to keep one of those on me 24/7, and I would fold them in half and keep them in my back pocket. And so I have a couple of those still sitting in my apartment. There's like a stack of like maybe 20 of them. And I would just whip them out really fast and like write down anything that came to mind.
I buy like, planners, like diaries with note sections in them so that I can, because I like making lists of stuff and like words and phrases that I really
Absolutely.
enjoy. So I like having that in my planner, so it's all like accessible and I can just leaf through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hobonichi Techo, a Japanese company, makes a very nice planner that has like a notes section and like nice paper and all that stuff. It's usually not that expensive for like the entire year. That's what I
Is
use.
Is that our sponsor for today?
Yeah, we're sponsored by Hobonichi Secho, a Japanese company that would never touch this podcast with a 12-foot pole.
Yeah, they can sit over there with the yanderes.
Yeah.
We use plenty of Japanese phrases here. Come on.
Yeah, but definitely I even have like a little server that I'm in that like I just put my ideas and like stream stuff into. So but that one I forget about because I'll go to that channel eventually like, oh, in April I was thinking of doing an RP script and I forgot about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got that podcast thread where we've just got like a million podcast ideas.
Yeah, if I had to give an anti-recommendation, don't use a thread in Discord because you'll lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pin.
Even the pins, I rarely look at pins.
Oh, damn.
That's why it's got to be a group chat for me. A solitary group chat. Yeah.
True.
It's called Punch List, and it just sits there with a little blue icon.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, chat, if you have any questions for us, now is the time to ask it because we will be wrapping up in about the 2-hour mark of the podcast. Just a heads up. From our prepared list of questions, though, we've got a fun one about YouTube and Twitch. So 2 platforms with TOS. So the question is, if you're an NSFW writer, do you try to stay within the TOS of YouTube/Twitch? Why or why not?
I'd have to read it first. Like,
YouTube spook.
like I've already been banned on Twitch because I didn't know their TOS well enough. So
Oh shit!
Oh no!
So like, you know, I would need to actually read it to care enough to try and stay within it. So I guess my is no. It's a little devil may care. If my free to use scripts don't fit within it, I would be upset for anybody that got in trouble for reading them.
True.
But like, I never claimed that they were.
Yeah.
And you know, since most of my commissions as of late have just been purely like people who orient themselves around like the Fanslyscape and like Gumroad and stuff like that.
Right. Pay sites.
Yeah, pay sites. So like most of my writing doesn't stay within the purview of YouTube or Twitch. So it's
Well, even Fansly has TOS.
True.
True, but I mean specifically like the common TOS around sexual like or violence.
Sexual, yeah. So like I would of course like keep that stuff in mind if someone came to me and was like, I want to put this on YouTube. But if I was writing like a free to use script, I'm usually writing those generally just because something's popped in my mind and I want to write it. So my thoughts are not usually around staying within TOS unless it's like a paid gig.
I got some pretty good traction at first by being sussy but not explicit, which made it accessible enough for people who are like less comfy with voice work to sort of voice it, maybe even read it on stream every once in a while, sort of thing. There's definitely been like bigger guys who've like just taken all the scripts and just read them in a row for ASMR streams, just like all 10, just go. And then like giggle at the really sussy parts so they can make it like less serious, whatever it is. But like, as I start to write more heavy NSFW, like that was strictly staying within Twitter. Like there was in no way ever going to go to YouTube or like Twitch. So I've written some like long form NSFW stuff, and it's just I put it on Reddit, and I'm like, whatever you want to use this for, just go for it. So then it's like read for like Soundgasm and like I think for someone's Patreon at best. But it's when it comes to like work per like fill ratio, like those have the worst fill ratio, basically. Fill ratio.
Fellatio. Those have the worst fellatio.
Yeah.
Don't try and get head from a script. It doesn't work. Your dick gets stuck in the wiring of your computer. It's a mess.
Oh.
Cable management's very important.
Personally, everything I do, I just try to keep in TOS because I'm just like such a paranoid content creator.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like I'll teeter, I'll dance around it, but like at the end of the day, it's going to be in TOS of some variety.
Yes, damn Felicia.
I know I've actually run up right against this because this is not a plug, I'm not bragging, but I started doing YouTube like 3 weeks ago. So I've already like hit the sort of issue with like being too sus for YouTube,
hmm
like threading that line. And like that's helped me realize why people like calming people and why people like having writers, because if you're writing to a TOS, like there's ways around it. But trying to fit something that wasn't intended for YouTube onto YouTube gets very difficult. Like,
Mhm.
and I mean that's
I
the
always
problem
just put like
because
the first half and then put the spicy stuff behind,
oh,
like
absolutely,
either on Fansly or behind a paywall.
absolutely. That's the other strategy, of course, is to split it up and have the sexier stuff on the pay side, or even like on a free link, like Soundgasm or something.
Yeah.
Because like trying to thread that TOS like needle is difficult, hard, impossible. But there's also no denying that the biggest numbers come from YouTube, for most people. Like,
Mhm.
yeah. By the way, Googs, the one that of words that I read is now up to like, hang on, let me see here. 1 sec. I was like sending
can't-
screenshots, like, dude.
Yeah, you said this shit doing numbers, and
Yeah.
it was so unexpected. I'm in Germany, and Atra's sending me a message about like, yeah, that script doing numbers, man.
Yeah, it's up to 1,188 now.
Let's fucking go.
That's exactly.
That's naked by Mr. Googs, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. Naked by Mr. Googs. Very much a monologue-y script, but very nicely done in getting the impact out there. The ranting at like your partner leaving bed, like, hey, get back here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a question from Allie in chat. Allie says, what sites are better to use for SFW paywalls? So I do not use sites to paywall, but based on my experience, Patreon is good if you have an existing large community that would follow you there.
Mm-hmm. Fansly is good for VTubers because it supports streaming. It doesn't randomly decide that it's not going to do porn anymore, like OnlyFans.
Right.
And yeah, you've got very good discoverability on Fansly. Like I haven't posted anything on Fansly in a while, and I'm still getting people following me there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fansly comes with the biggest built-in like cadre of VTuber fans, I'd say.
Yeah,
I have a story about that. Like I was telling Clappy that I had a Fansly. He's my best friend and a streamer I used to manage over at Kentucky. And he was like, "Oh, I'll follow it." And he like went to Fansly and he was like, "Oh, there's porn here."
It's so precious.
Yeah, the only other site that I've heard for people doing like specifically audio paywall stuff is like Gumroad.
Yeah. Gumroad's good because it's like a storefront, right? Like you can price things and be like, okay, this one's $5, this one's $2, whatever it is. There isn't that like sort of intimidating wall that Patreon has. It's like click this and then you can see the goods, basically.
Yeah, like click here and then you can see the post. So you're going in blind, basically.
Right. Fansly does let you do previews too, so that's also a good thing. The previews on Fansly are very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
As is the pricing.
The bits.
Yeah. But in terms of other sites you can use if you're not looking at a paywall, there's also Soundgasm and there's one other one, Audiogasm, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure.
Gone Wild Audio.
Yeah, there's also the Reddit crowd too. But be aware, like from what I've read and seen, it's very vicious over on Reddit. Lots of downvoting, lots of criticism.
Oh, yeah.
Very snooty, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also do other YouTube if you want.
Oh, what's other YouTube?
Oh, Pornhub.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that one.
I know a few VAs have posted on Pornhub. I know
They do very
Rune's
well,
over
actually.
there. Cerberus is over there. Yeah, there's actually quite a few of the male content creators over there.
Interesting.
Atra. Write that down. Write that down.
Where's my notebook?
This is why I can't play fucking poker because I have
Start
I have like
drafting an email.
I have so many tells when I'm thinking of something.
As per my previous message.
Oh my God. What if that's every draft email that Atra puts notes in, but it starts as per my previous message?
Yeah. Or that's how he starts all of his scripts. Then he just like takes it out before he publishes it.
Yeah, just
one day
as
it's just gonna be in the
pedantic
script.
ass thing. Start it off.
Passive aggressive office.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've done a couple of office RPs. They've done really well actually. A lot of the "you're fucking up and I'm gonna punish you" sort of like deal.
Oh, spank.
Yeah. Bend over the copier machine.
Mr. Atra, this report was due 30 minutes ago.
Mr. Mentum.
Well, great. All I need is 15 finger guns.
Finger gun. And then the rest of it is just moaning and plopping.
Yeah, basically. and fax machine noises. Don't forget the fax machine noises.
Yeah. We've got a fax machine the butts.
Yeah, the photocopier.
Yeah.
Like fucking someone on the photocopier and you're hitting the copy button and it's just like taking pictures of the ass prints.
And then you die. And then you fucking
and then
die.
you die because you explode.
And then you explode.
Oh my
Welcome to the new meta, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome to the new audio meta. I wonder if it'll go as poorly as the Twitch meta.
Oh god.
Oh, I bet. Okay.
Just put sensor bars over the copier machine.
Yuriko says, please change the toner when you're done.
Oh my god, yeah, you're fucking on the copier machine and somebody's coming up just going, hi, I need my faxes.
Can I just put this A3 into the paper feeder, please?
It'd just be funny if you just like throw a sheet of papers and like, get out! And you just keep going.
Get out!
Or better still, don't stop. Like you
stop,
fucking someone from behind over your desk and just start taking a meeting.
There you go, you learned how to do a cooking script.
Basically. On that note,
right there.
This is a question for everybody. Just getting off the sus again for a bit.
We can't help it. We're
No.
degenerate whores.
No.
It's not safe for work, people.
What's the most ambitious writing project you've ever done? For me, it was definitely an FF4A script. The 4A part always is tricky when it comes to NSFW. Because you have to be inclusive of like all expressions, all genitalia, all possible combinations
can't
of
mention the bits.
Exactly. You can't mention the bits. Right. And then when you write for 2 VAs, it becomes an issue like, okay, do I like color code this? Do I put like, this one is this one is that one?
Wait, what do you use to write your scripts in?
Google Docs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Either email drafts, or if I want to be fancy, I use Google Docs.
Email drafts, Atra! I feel like both of us get wrecked for not knowing AO3, and now I find out that you write an email draft.
I'm a 35-year-old
To whom it may concern, per your previous request. Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, I mean, I think the most ambitious thing for me has been my books, but like thing that I've finished was a play. And then I actually got to produce that, and that was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so that was probably the most ambitious thing that I've like done and completed.
Very nice.
Are we solely talking about things that we've completed?
No, I'm sorry. I said
All that you've attempted.
I mentioned my books, and then I was like, but the thing that I completed was my play.
No. What you said just made me want to clarify what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think to clarify the question, it'd be that you attempted or have completed, like something that has been a personal challenge for you as a writer that you feel proud of.
I'll say on the script writing side, I'm still trying to work out the kinks, but basically a multi-ending dating kind of series with various
Oh,
characters, and I'm
wow.
still deciding whether I play all those characters with different voices or if I recruit other people.
Mm.
That
And then
sounds cool.
and then kind of similar with Mr. Goose, also writing books, but in like a MCU multiverse type of thing,
Ooh,
The
that's so
Maoriverse.
cool.
the Mariverse.
Mariverse.
Mm.
That's really cool. It's like a choose your own adventure kind of script then.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh wow. I would like that. Yeah, I could definitely see how that'd be a massive challenge. I'm very much looking forward to seeing that one day.
Any of you guys ever done NaNoWriMo?
Who's a what?
Yeah, can
tried
you
it.
explain what that is?
No, I've never attempted
NaNoWriMo
it.
NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month,
Oh,
where it's like a challenge online for people to write a book in a month.
which nation? The United States?
All nations, the nation of the internet. I don't know why it's called national,
That's
but
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't
Write a
sound
book
like
in a
us. That
month.
might be.
I've been trying to write a book in a year.
Yeah, no, it's not supposed to be like a finished book. It's the first draft, basically.
just getting the ball rolling, basically.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Some people work on it for multiple years,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but they use like the whole month to like hunker down and work on one work.
Yeah.
Mhm. I know a few people who've done it. Then they try and get me to read their work, and I'm like, no.
I mean, I've written a couple short stories on stream. Does that count?
That is pretty ambitious. Like do it live. Like
Yeah.
writing
Yeah,
live
and
is really
I
is
take
tough.
prompts from chat, so I like have them kind of decide where the story's going at certain points. It's
You
actually
and
very fun.
you and EC getting drunk and writing scripts on stream is some of my favorite streams, Atra.
We've come up with some curse nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Well, by the way, Googs, you call it Googs PT when you do that sort of stream.
Okay. Understood.
Googs PT writes your stories live on Twitch.
Why, it's Goo GPT.
Oh
newest
God,
AI.
like the number of people who are trying to peddle absolutely nonsensical AI written like dreck as scripts is insane.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
this is a public service announcement. If you have a Tumblr, there is a setting you need to hit in privacy that prevents them from selling your information to AI companies to to train AI. I had to toggle it on a couple days ago.
Mm.
So if you have a Tumblr, go do that, because I know a lot of writers do use Tumblr, including myself.
Hmm. And it's going to get even worse because the problem is that now that ChatGPT was the first like big one. Now that is being created, it's basically just going to be eating itself from here on out because people are going to protect their work, and a good proportion of unprotected work is going to be AI written nonsense, which is then going to further train the AI, and it will go over and over and over and over again until the apocalypse. I don't know.
Joke's on them. I get drunk and write, so they'll just have to train their stupid AI off my shit.
I think that's actually the funny thing about it, though, is like, so I feel like for writing, it's a lot easier for people to spot like AI written stuff.
Mm.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it has so many hiccups, flubs, and like just nonsense.
Mhm.
And then I feel bad for graphic artists because like so many people get fooled by AI art in that sense. But then you look at the hands for 2 seconds and you go, "What the fuck are those?"
Yeah. Why does this chair have 5 legs? Like, what kind of chair is this?
Yeah.
Why is your hair melting into your back?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so, but it's because most of the time when people look at like a graphic piece of art, they're looking at the face and then everything else is kind of like absorbed into their mind in the background and it kind of fills in the places. But if they look closely, they can see like, oh, that's AI. But, with writing, it just feels, since you have to look at like pretty much every word to read it, it becomes so evident that it's like, that sentence didn't make no fucking sense.
That's such a good point.
Good point. Yeah.
So I feel like we as writers are a bit blessed in that sense where the AI is still kind of stupid and very easily identifiable.
Also, I think switching to the visual as well, like that you mentioned, anime sort of appearances are, the base is very formulaic. You've always got like the girls with the pointy chin and the big titties, or there are very distinct archetypes. And it's like you said, if you just look at the face or you glance at the picture, it looks great as long as you don't look too closely. And then once you start looking at the details and like your eyelashes are melting into your nose and you have an extra leg. There was a guy who was posting AI art like as his like VTuber art, and he straight up posted a picture of his character doing yoga and he had 3 legs. There was just an extra leg.
Like the Walmart brand VTubers, basically. Great value VTuber.
Great value VTuber.
It's tough though, because like some people will sneak it into places like thumbnails on YouTube, and like you don't immediately see it. Like you can tell this looks kind of AI-ish, right? But like someone actually got called out for this. They did one of the joke ASMRs, like used AI art as the cover, and like I think it was MVT was like, yeah, so you're so desperate to like get on this trend that you use AI art. I thought you people hated AI art. Yeah.
I will say I did do one script from ChatGPT, but it was because one of my mods made a thing about the Ding Ding plushie, but set it in the Doom universe. So it was just the Doom Slayer, but it was the Ding Ding Slayer.
Yeah.
I did read that. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's fine as long as you're not trying to like commercialize it, or if you're not like stealing from like someone else's like work, like
And if you're not using it to make a non-consensual pornography, like that Taylor Swift stuff that was doing the rounds, like even though she's a pop star, she is a person. Like you wouldn't like it if pornographic images of you that looked like photographs were being like.
Well, some VTubers are still learning that lesson, apparently. Yep. But on a more positive note, I've got one more question. And Chad, if you have any questions for our panel, this is the time to get it in. But I will have the last question on my list, which is, what advice would you give to a newbie scriptwriter that may be struggling to get noticed or get script fills? So this is addressed to all our newbie starting out scriptwriters, like who want to get noticed. Like, how do you get noticed in this world out here?
I would,
go ahead, Vaughn.
There's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can go the traditional professional networking and just maybe doing what's the word for it, pro bono type script, where you reach out to somebody and you offer to do it for free. But my favorite way in every venture that I've done is just be yourself, be good, be bad, just make work. The best way to get known is to have work, and the more work you have, like people that read fan fiction, they love the work, and then all of a sudden there's like 3-year gap and there's nothing there. But if you're sitting there posting and posting and posting, and you're just putting it out there, whenever you get found, other people, the people that find it will have more to work through. So just put it out there. Just make yourself vulnerable, put it out there, and just be your best self.
Yeah, as a person who thoroughly loves a good backlog of content.
Yes.
Like literally, it's like, you gotta view it as like you go to that YouTube channel that you just discovered today, and you're like, holy shit, they've got so many videos for me to watch. It's
and go down a rabbit hole for a bit.
Exactly. So like I feel like one of the most important things in all content creation generally is to make the stuff. Because there's never going to be a big fanfare when you do your first piece.
Mm.
Unless you have like some other reason that people have been following you, right? But there's never going to be a huge fanfare usually for your very first piece, because how are people going to know about it? You have to start making that stuff and putting it out there for people to find. And then when you have a decent amount of stuff, one, you're casting your net wider in the internet by having more of a footprint. The larger you make your lexicon of written material on the internet, the wider it's going to spread over the internet. The other thing I can suggest is it's just one of those things of like kind of trying to become mutuals, or, you know, like not pushing to become mutuals, but in the scope of like the Twitterverse, you know, you follow somebody that you like or that is doing content that you enjoy. Well, if you enjoy writing, following people who voice act, who write and voice act,
Yes.
but following the people that you want to be seeing your work, because I mean, personally, me, I get a follow on Twitter and I click on, oh, who's this person? And I'll just take a quick glance at their profile. And if it's something that I'm like, oh, this would be the kind of person that I would like to be a mutual with, then I follow them back. I'm not saying everybody does that, but, you know, following those people. And the other thing is just consuming what those people are saying, what they're talking about, and then keeping an eye on the trends and stuff like that. But it really, I think the baseline is figuring out how to motivate yourself to keep pushing out material.
And don't DM other script writers that like are getting a lot of attention and being like, "Hey, you're a great script writer. I too want to become a script writer. Can I pick your brain?" And then sitting there and expecting them to like basically tell you exactly how to write scripts, and you know, you could just put your name on it basically.
I actually had that happen right after Atra invited me on this. They were like, hey, because I think it was I reopened my commissions, and they were like, oh, your commissions are open? And I was like, yes. And then they just wanted to talk about all the stuff they were writing. And I was like, that's very nice. How can I help you?
Yeah.
Time is money, people. We are busy content creators.
And like, yeah, why would anybody write like an entire guide on how to write scripts when you haven't made anything yourself? If you come and say, "Hey, I have written this piece, can you tell me how to improve it?" That is far more likely to get attention and feedback than just tell me how to do this and be famous like you without me putting the work you put into it.
I would say if you yourself like want to be noticed for like script writing, it doesn't hurt to do reads of other people's scripts too. Because every read that somebody else who's at your size gets, they're very grateful for. I'm not saying that they will reciprocate, but it definitely like engenders you to them, and you have to build your network basically. Like if you're trying to hit a home run on day one and hope that Cottontail reads your script, it's not going to happen. But there are so many budding VAs out there, and this is why like I think for whatever like successes I've had, it's because I made it accessible, I made it like short, punchy, and to the point, and I made it like A for A. So like I didn't exclude anybody at first. And then when I wanted to get some more traction, I started reading other people's scripts too, because I may not have had the most confidence in it, but I knew what it meant to me to have people read like my stuff. So you pay that forward, even if you're not the most confident VA in the world. Paying it forward really makes a huge difference among us small content creators. Like, you know.
And it immerses you in the scene, in the industry.
It does, yes. There's symbiotic, like writers and VAs, and a lot of VAs are writers, a lot of writers are VAs. And you may not be there yet, but it's very much in your cards that that may happen to you one day, where you're sort of reading and writing. I would like ask the rest of the panel. Yeah, TV.
I know I haven't said much, but just listening, I feel like sometimes if you just do it, you can likely get lucky. Depend like when people are like are attracted to reading something, especially like if it catches their attention. Usually, like let's say like graphic wise, do something like I usually go for something more like minimalism that kind of like catches their attention based on like aesthetic wise and fits like the theme of the script. But also networking and like knowing how to work with like I guess like algorithms such as like using hashtags on Twitter or on Instagram. And like sometimes like these tags can trend based on like who attracts who, and then there's a constant like retweets and likes and then commenting. Same thing with Tumblr. I didn't know I got some messages on Tumblr as well until like I checked back on it.
That happens,
But
yeah.
yeah, and then like you can actually get pretty lucky, but it depends, like, but also like you have people supporting and seeing your work, so it kind of like goes out to places that attracts people and doing what. Sometimes you never know, but like if you're starting off, just honestly just give it a try and like just do it basically. It's kind of similar with streaming too. Like you want to stream, but you're scared. But if you just do it and just kind of like have fun with it, not think too much about it, just be yourself and like be comfortable with your own skin instead of like having to force it out because it won't get you anywhere. But if you just do it, you'll have fun eventually throughout the journey.
That's great advice. And I'm glad you mentioned like Tumblr and like other sites too. I think, and this is kind of like the thing about Twitter is that I think VTubers especially place an overemphasis on Twitter. Twitter is where your content goes to die, if I'm being honest. Like, because you put it out there, it has like a 24-hour shelf life and then it disappears. It's gone to the winds. Like, no one will ever see it. Almost like they're like looking at your profile a couple of days later and scrolling creepily. You put it on YouTube, it's going to always be there. It'll get passive views. You put it on Tumblr, it gets passive views. And people will find it. Like,
oh shit, how did I toggle this? Sorry.
I'm sorry. By expanding to multiple platforms, you get past like a lot of the pitfalls of like the Twitter sphere.
I'm sorry,
and
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
the point being, yeah, be a multi-platform like content creator. Like that's the biggest thing that VTubers kind of need to know, because it's no longer enough to just stream on Twitch, post on Twitter. You gotta embrace being content creator.
Well, that's what I tell a lot of people. It's kind of why I use that analogy of like casting your net wide.
Exactly.
So
like
the internet is the internet is an
There's
ocean.
also some. Oh,
That's
sorry.
why.
Oh, wait. You said sometimes what I've noticed, like I'm like an observant person, so like what I've noticed is like a lot of people has high expectations in a lot of things. For me, I personally don't tend to have high expectations. More like I'm more of like a free goer, like just like just kind of like I don't know how you describe it. If you know what I'm trying to say from there, but like just let loose and like kind of like not like have high expectation things, because like the more you set high expectation, the more you feel more frustrated with yourself and like more like emotionally and mentally, because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. It's the same thing with content creation too. But like, I think if you just kind of like think about having fun, you'll eventually enjoy something along the way, even with writing, like free writing or like freestyling, a bunch of things.
Absolutely. Having fun with your craft is really important. Like, do not force yourself to put things out there because you think it's popular, because people can tell when you're not having fun with your content. I've said it many times on this program, but like, let me reiterate it. Like, having fun with your content is so important, because then it's genuine,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to call on anyone, but Mayuri, any last thoughts? Final thoughts?
I don't know if I can really give anything other than what has already been said. But I mean, it's especially when you're starting out, it's definitely even when you're a seasoned writer and have been in the game, so to speak, for a long time. It's always a numbers game. And that being an umbrella with also casting your network to other platforms. The more exposure, even if say something quote unquote flops and you're afraid of something flopping, putting it out there, you're gonna get more views than if you just didn't. Like,
Absolutely.
then don't be afraid to make something perfect. Like, basically don't be like me, who hasn't uploaded anything in like over a year because I'm a perfectionist writer. Something perfect, I'm trying to find my words.
Oh, take your time.
Something perfectly incomplete and put out there is still better, or something imperfectly complete is still better than something that's completely something perfectly incomplete. So like, even if you think it's not perfect, having it out there, you can show people that you improve over time rather than trying to hoard it all like forever. And then you see all a bunch of like the other writers and you're wondering like, why can't I be like them? It's because you're not putting yourself out there.
That's a great point too. Like, don't let perfect be the enemy, good be the enemy of perfect, perfect be the enemy of good. I don't know how that goes actually.
Perfect is the enemy of good.
There we go. That's what I'm thinking of. But there is nothing wrong with taking pride in your craft either. Like, the more you hone something, like, is there a balance? Absolutely. Do I think there is something to honing your craft over and over and over, putting something out until you're happy with it? I absolutely agree with that. Because it's very easy to fall into the trap of just like shotgun posting like everything you got, scripts,
Oh yeah,
VA work, lines,
the spray and pray approach.
spray and pray. Yeah, like, you got to do what works for you, but also it doesn't hurt to take a breather every once in a while and be like, okay, is this working for me or is this not working for me? Like, look at your analytics, like, think about, be intentional with what you're doing, know what your brand is, and if you need to take your time to feel comfortable with what you're putting out. Because at the end of the day, it needs to be something that you personally are happy with, something that you're proud of, right? It doesn't matter if everyone else loves it, as long as you have to love it first. Yeah.
Something imperfectly complete is better than something perfectly incomplete. Wisdom from guild leader Mary Rose.
Yes, exactly.
I think what you said about branding was really good too.
Yes.
Especially if we're talking about something you really enjoy. Like, if you have a certain trope or even a certain handful of tropes that you really enjoy and like you think that they're overdone, I mean, if you enjoy them, then just focus on being the best at them.
Exactly. We've actually spoken about this, like branding and sort of like building like something coherent as a content creator. It's one of your approaches that I quite like about you, specifically Mayuri. And it's something that I think people need to think more about, because your brand is everything at the end of the day. Like, what people know you for, what they associate you with. It's why I never changed out of this hoodie, becoming a content creator. Anyway, this has been the episode of the Depths Podcast, episode 24, Intimacy and Eroticism in Scriptwriting. All of these lovely, talented folks here are scriptwriters of some form or another. I heavily encourage you to check them out. We are going to do some plugs going from left to right. I want you to tell me about what you've got going on, your socials, and anything else you'd like to plug for our audience here today, starting with Mayuri.
I feel like I'm kind of bare bones considering I'm actually going through a sort of like migration and rebrand right now. I mean, you can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, @MyAriRose_. I have a audio YouTube channel, which is, as I said, I haven't posted in a while. But if you like more kind of best friend, girl next door kind of audios, you can also find me on YouTube at @Myari_Rose. But moving forward, I'll probably actually be kind of quiet on socials for a little bit as I kind of do reflect on what kind of brand I want to be as a content creator moving forward. But then after that, it's going to be full steam go.
So valid. Very valid. Wherever Mary does go, I heavily encourage you to check her out. Very hardworking content creator. Excellent sense of style, very comforting and calm person. Just an overall delight. So, but check her out. Tagged in the bio, et cetera, et cetera. Next up, we got Mr. Googs.
Yeah. Once again, I'm Mr. Googs. I would say if I had a brand, it would be ADHD. That is basically like indicative of what my channel is. I run a D&D campaign. I have a game show. I played basically a different game every single freaking day. But it's laughs and it's good times, and then writing big stuff coming up. I guess look on Twitter in the maybe foreseeable future. I have like a person that I'm talking with about doing like a large commission with. I'm hopeful that it comes through, but right now they're going through some stuff, so it's gonna been put on hold. But if that goes through, definitely we'll be talking about that on Twitter.
And your Twitter handle is?
My Twitter handle is Mr. Googs VA.
There it is.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to talking to Mr. Googs for a while now. Very happy to have the opportunity to do so.
Bro! See, the funny
Same,
thing
honestly.
Sorry to segue here, but the funny thing about that is, so I'm really good friends with a viewer of Atra's, Row Bunny, and she multiple times has sent me different scripts from Atra being like, would you read this? So I've known about Atra for a long time, so I've actually followed Atra for a while on Twitter. And so when Atra ended up recording one of my scripts, I was like, ain't no way!
It's what I said earlier. You gotta support people who put scripts out there. Like, even if you're not the best VA in the world, it like means something to somebody when you do it.
Yeah, I was like, ain't no way Atra noticed me. So I was a little starstruck, especially when you asked me to be on the show. I was like, so there was a lot of like me being very excited about everything going on.
And like people ask about like script writers to check out on Twitter, and you'll see Atra mentioned like 8 times in the comments.
Yeah, that's my fucking brand.
So putting stuff out there does get you noticed.
Absolutely.
I will say I never pay attention like people like following me, but I would always see Atro's name on my Twitter feed constantly. And I saw that he follows me, and I was like,
I'm terminally online.
I was like, I guess he seems cool. Let me follow.
And then she found out I was a lewd tuber.
I don't know how it all started, but like I think at one point you came to my stream. I guess I don't know how we started talking. It's been a while.
Come to my website.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Atra's never come to my stream. That's not how we met.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it was Atra came into my DMs, and then we added each other on Discord, and then we started talking a little bit, and then I check out with Atra for the commission.
Absolutely.
And then we started talking a little bit here and there at one point, and then he starts coming to my stream here and there.
Yeah, you got a good cozy vibe, absolutely. Vaughn, how about a plug for you?
Of course. So my name is Vaughn IXI. My typical greeting is I am a LGBTQIA plus mental health streamer. I specialize in comfy horror. I am usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Vaughn IXI or Vaughn _IXI on every single platform and on paid sites. I am actually on paid sites, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, you are actually.
And then, but yes, I'm working on a couple scripts right now, a couple for free use. That's my main bread and butter for writing
use?
so far. Yeah, free use.
Free to use.
Free use. Free to
Yeah,
use.
free use is the kink.
Not you perking up and free use, you say?
I'll research
that down,
a
write
little
that
bit
down.
more for you.
Write an email quick.
But yeah, that's mainly my thing. I'm hoping to get to see more of all of your writing around though.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming back to the podcast, Vaughn. Vaughn was one of our earliest guests on the Depths before we even had the studio, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's always lovely to see you. And frankly, I'm very excited that you have started writing because your writing is among the most unique I've ever seen. And I'm very happy to see it.
Also, your voice sounds a bit like sour cream from Steven Universe, and that makes me happy.
Aw. And last but not least, my Oishi, Tiffy.
Oh, are we self-promoting? Is
Yes,
that what
we
we're
are.
doing?
We are. Yes.
Sorry. I'm actually like losing brain cells right now.
Yeah, this podcast does that.
Again, what was it? I don't know how you. Oh, okay, self-promote. I don't like self-promoting myself, to be honest.
Okay, I'll do it for you. Tiffy is an artist, graphic designer.
Wait.
Okay, go.
Okay, I do mostly graphic design. My commissions are closed, but the only ones I have open is model reveals and event graphics. If you're interested, my streaming days are very random, but I see myself streaming mostly on Wednesdays. But I usually announce when I stream on Twitter, which you can find Tiffy Cha, which is CHA, and then my name and then CHA. My Twitch is Tiffy, and I don't know if I'm missing anything. I do somewhat have a script card, but they're not like really public. But I think there were some people that were interested in commissioning me, but it's kind of like low key. If you I guess are interested, you can probably ask me more about it.
Yeah.
I guess.
That reminds me, panelists, what is your script hashtag, if you have one?
Should I finish first?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were
It did sound like you were finished.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like trying to figure out what to say. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at self-promote. I just personally don't like self-promote because like it makes me feel bad and I don't like the whole attention. That's why.
Oh sure, no, but this is definitely the section you can. Yeah.
My script tag. I'll put it in chat though.
Yeah, feel free to put it in chat, guys.
This is my tag. You can mostly find the scripts that I have released mostly. I think my most popular one is like Pillow Talk, which I think that's what everyone likes so far. I think that's all for me.
Well, thank you very much, Tiffy. Tiffy, someone I have been, as she said, following for a long time, from the days where the hashtag script challenge was a thing, and Tiffy and some others were putting out scripts there, and it was my first experience with voice acting, and that put me on the path that I'm at right now. So thank you, Tiffy. You're an integral part of that.
I actually also mentioned like he was inspired as well for me, but I don't know how I inspire
look at chat right now. Maito says he loves Pillow Talk. Death Plume says that she loves Pillow Talk. They've all heard of the script.
Yeah, I remember them recording it.
And
there's a new script if you haven't seen it.
Yes, there is. Last but not least, Lady Mystique, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, I have been Lady Mystique. I do comfy cozy streaming on Twitch with my angel form, which is the demon form in disguise. I am over on Fansly, and of course you can find me on Twitter. I will be spinning up YouTube again at some point, but I suffer from the same thing as Mary Rose in that I am a perfectionist about audios, and I've been missing a front tooth for the last like 6 months, which is why I haven't really recorded anything because it doesn't sound good to me.
No one can tell. Literally no one can
I
tell.
know, and yet. But you can find all of my links at ladymystique.tv, and if you do type that into your address bar, it's Mystique ending with a Q, not a UE.
You can also put it in chat if you'd like, your website.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me on again, Atra. I love co-hosting this with you.
Of course.
It's like the most fun thing.
And I've been your host, @Tramentum_X, Rice streamer and YouTuber. You can check out all my links at @Tramentum.inc. That's INK. The Depths is going weekly for the month of March. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of guests lined up. We're very excited about that. And before we sign off for the night, we have the next episode preview here for you. I'm very excited about next week's episode, and I think you might be as well. So
This is a good one.
yes, say goodnight, everybody. We're gonna head to the promo.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Me.
I don't know.
That's very risky. I didn't want to say that's very risky.